I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. In September of 2015, a local farmer, Jim Bristle, made a discovery that has the potential to change the history of Michigan as we know it.
It was a fairly routine day on Bristle Farm, digging a trench to relieve drainage issues in the soil, when Jim Bristle stumbled on something that was anything but typical.
In the course of installing their pipe, realized that there were bones coming out of the sediment on both sides of the hole they were digging. It was clear immediately that these were parts of a mammoth, and from their description of the site, it was clear that there was more in the subsurface.
Upon further examination, the excavation team uncovered some unique finds.
In addition to the limbs and vertebrae, we recovered most of the animal's skull, a major portion of its jaw, and both tusks of the animal, which were still in place in their sockets in the skull.
The jawbone played a crucial role in aging this prehistoric giant.
The history of molar eruption and wear indicates an age sort of in the, say, mid-40s or something like that. And so that's our current estimate for this animal's age. We find layers of material. These layers develop day by day, week by week, year by year throughout the life of the animal. And when we cut a cross-section through tusk material, we can see a cycle of seasons and years.
This nearly 6-ton beast showed signs of crossbreeding between Columbian and woolly mammoths.
We have good evidence now that this was a hybrid mammoth, a hybrid between what had been two effectively separate species. And everybody, I think, knows that ordinarily different species do not mate with one another, but there's an historical component to this as well, that is the isolating mechanisms that prevent species from successfully interbreeding are traits that are acquired through a history of the evolutionary history of that lineage. And so if you put two lineages back into contact that have been without contact for a time, they may not have yet acquired all of those isolating mechanisms, and you can get successful interbreeding.
February is National Children's Dental Health Month, and to kickstart the occasion, the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum opened up a new exhibit dedicated to oral hygiene.
This toothy exhibit is bringing the sparkle back to pearly whites.
Chew on This is an interactive oral health exhibit designed to teach kids about the importance of good oral health, the importance of making really healthy food and beverage choices, the anatomy of the mouth and the vocal cords, basically anything you want to know about your mouth and teeth.
After the floss cutting ceremony, kids took over the dentist chair, polishing this larger-than-life set of chompers.
The giant mouth is where kids can use dental tools to brush and floss and poke at cavities a little bit. We have a Smart Mart where it's just like a grocery store checkout counter where kids can go grocery shopping, and that when they are going through the scanner will tell them if they've made good food and beverage choices.
You have to floss its teeth and brush its teeth, and you have to do all these types of stuff to make the teeth clean. When you go to the dentist, you have to look for dark spots that don't look so good, and if they're weak and they don't feel so good to chew on, then that's the parts that you have to look at.
Not only is good oral health tied to school success and overall life success, having a healthy mouth also leads to having a healthy body.
Now that spring is here, the Natural Area Preservation, or NAP, aims to control invasive species in areas throughout Ann Arbor. Learn more about their controlled burns in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, I'm David Borneman. I'm the Natural Area Preservation Manager for the City of Ann Arbor Parks Department. This is the 23rd spring that we've been out in these parks doing controlled burns or prescribed burns. The purpose is to identify the area that we want to burn, our burn unit, and completely surround that by some kind of a burn break. In this case, it's a trail where the leaves have been removed. So when we light the fire next to that trail, the fire can only go in one direction, back towards the center of the burn unit. There are trained staff and volunteers wearing these yellow Nomex uniforms that are fire resistant, hard hats, gloves, walkie-talkies to stay in touch. And if the fire should jump across the break, we've got water to put that out immediately. We're also trying to make sure none of the big logs or dead trees catch fire. You may hear the sound of the leaf blowers in the background blowing leaves away from those fire-sensitive areas. If anyone's interested in getting involved in this program or other volunteer efforts with natural area preservation, or just to learn more about our prescribed burn program, you're welcome to check out our website at a2gov.org/napburn, NAPBURN. Thanks much.
In the Ann Arbor area, there are arts of all kinds around every corner, but you're not always sure where to find the best performance that suits your personalized taste. A new publication, Pulp, an entity of the Ann Arbor District Library, is the place to find reviews on music, fine art, film, and a whole lot more. Joining me is Eli Nyberger, Deputy Director for the Ann Arbor District Library, here to discuss Pulp. Welcome to the show, Eli.
Thank you, Dana.
This is the first time having you here, so it's a pleasure to actually have you in studio.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So can you explain kind of what your job is with the Ann Arbor District Library and how that's kind of affiliated with Pulp?
Sure. So I'm the Deputy Director, and I'm responsible for a lot of library operations and collections and things like that. So a big part of that is web content and the library's web presence, and also production of content. Increasingly over the past several years, the library's gotten more into producing new content, a lot of that driven by like the Ann Arbor News Old News project, where we digitize content, but also then write features about things that happen in the history. So as that grew, we saw an opportunity for arts coverage to come from a non-commercial place, and for the library to get into, there's so many things going on every weekend, and it's always hard to know what to do, what's going to be worth your time, and it was just a really great opportunity for the library to cover what's going on in the community and add value to our readers and to our website.
Well, the whole thing is too, because we don't really have a local paper anymore, this is kind of filling this arts niche that we didn't have anymore.
Yeah.
And is that kind of why this started? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, we wanted to make sure there was still arts coverage happening in the community, and part of the challenge across the media is it's really hard to turn a profit with arts coverage because there's so many things going on, and so much is online, all that sort of thing. So the library doesn't have to turn a profit. There's no advertising, there's no requirement of a number of clicks for it to continue to survive. So it's an opportunity for a public good of the library covering this information, creating new content about what's going on in the community, also so that you can see what you missed. And if there's something that you were interested in, you didn't get a chance to see it, then you can read about what happened, and it's just a great value for the community.
So if you go on the Pulp website, you notice that there's like a lot of archived articles in there. Is there a point where, you know, you're like, okay, well, this is old, we're going to get rid of this? Or is it kind of like with the history projects where you're keeping everything so people kind of have that archive?
We're a library, and part of the beauty of digital libraries is you don't run out of space. So every post that has been made to Pulp will be there. So if you click on written word or theater and dance, you can scroll down through every article that we've ever posted, going back to when we launched in October. And that will be there as long as the library exists. We still have posts on our website from 2005 when the website first launched. And definitely the library has a commitment to keeping digital content online in perpetuity. And again, it's great for that to not be connected to economic factors the same way it is in the commercial publishing world.
Well, fingers crossed, we hope the library's around forever.
I hope so too.
I mean, when we're gone, that this stuff is still here for people to see. Can you talk about, because in the past, I feel like when there was arts coverage that was local, it wasn't covering as much as we're seeing on Pulp.
Well, I think partially it's because we don't have, it's not a zero-sum game. A lot of the writing is being done by library staff during their library staff time, so we're able to cover a wide variety of stuff. We also are not just trying to cover high art or fine art. You know, one of our initial goals for it was to have a review of you know, a internationally renowned UMS show alongside a really stinky event at the Blind Pig. You know, so trying to cover the broad spectrum of all the things that go on in this community, and it provides a lot, you know, again, a lot of opportunity to have deep and broad coverage of the art scene.
Can you discuss the different categories that Pulp is made of, and do you see down the road maybe adding some more categories?
Sure. I mean, we've tried to capture most of what you'd call arts and entertainment. So it's film and video, theater and dance, music, written word, and visual art. So across that, almost everything fits in. We've kind of found that what we started with written word really needs to kind of be words, because we're covering podcasts and some comedy shows and things like that that aren't exactly written word.
Yeah.
But across that, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and as within the realm of arts coverage, almost everything fits into one of those categories.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty broad.
So, and the other thing is, you mentioned that library staff are part of the process. They're writing and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter what your position is at the library. You said
That's
even
right.
someone in IT could be
Absolutely,
writing.
yes. Anyone across the organization is encouraged to pitch something that they're interested in covering. We also will approach staff that we know are interested or into a certain artist and ask them to write it up. But it's also not just the staff that are producing it. We also have paid contributors, professional writers. John Cantu, who's been covering arts in the community for a long time, Jen McKee, Patrick Dunn, people who are known and trusted as writers and reviewers, and they're being paid to write for Pulp and to make those posts. So it's not just library staff doing their thing. It's a combination of that and professionals being paid to write professional reviews.
Have you had any reaction from the public about it?
There's been a lot of enthusiasm in the arts community, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
And we've seen that the readership is growing very steadily. We did recently do a survey, a phone survey of all of the community, 500 homes, across all kinds of questions. But one of the questions we asked is, have you heard of Pulp? And less than 6 months into Pulp's life, already 18% of the community said yes, they've heard of Pulp. And of the people who had heard of it, a very high percentage had visited it, and they were very pleased with it. So I think our average rating on a scale of 1 to 5 was like 4.8. So there's a very enthusiastic audience out there, and we just expect that to continue to grow every year.
I mean, even someone like me who, I mean, I don't work for the library. I've had a lot of people mention Pulp to me already, and 6 months is a very short period of time for the word to be spreading the way it is.
Yeah, we're delighted at how positive the response has been and how relieved a lot of organizations have been to find this opportunity to get the word out about what they're doing. We also have buses. We have the Pulp ads on the back of buses going around right now. We started to hear some more about that. We have banners on the buildings. So we're just really starting to promote the service this month, and very pleased to be an opportunity to do that here.
So, I mean, we got these 18% of the population right now,
Yep.
could probably growing at this
Sure.
point. Why don't we tell the other percentage of the community that hasn't checked it out why they should be checking out Pulp?
Well, Pulp is a great place to find out what's going on in the community and to know. We try to be very on top of what's happening this weekend and things that are upcoming, even if it's like this weekend tickets went on sale for a show. Also, when there's things that get sold out, we try to get coverage of that so that you can read and see what just happened. For example, the Diane Rehm appearance that was just last week, that was sold out, and it was very popular in the community. Jen McKee went to that for Pulp and covered it and was able to write about she did a wonderful job writing up that experience, and it's really a lot like being there. Same with the film festival. We had a couple of newcomers to the film festival write up what it's like to go to the film festival to a first time. So it's really coming from simultaneously an expert's critical view and just kind of an enthusiastic moviegoer or an enthusiastic townie view about what's going on. We also had someone who had never seen a Star Wars movie write up going to see The Force Awakens.
Really?
You know, and it was a great article. And so there's all kinds of great things to read about, know what's going on in the community, make a smart choice. It's not a calendar. You know, many organizations have tried and failed to solve the arts calendar problem in this community. So it is very much a selection of what's going on in town. And so people can know what's happening and what they might want to spend their time on.
All right, well, thank you, Eli.
Thank you very much.
Visit a2gov.org/CTN for more on this and other CTN programs. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.